Are you looking to launch your next book into the bestseller status? Yeah, it is very possible. In fact, I really want to kind of focus on two areas today. First of all, it's going to be bestseller status on Amazon. I could talk about all the other avenues, but I think it's pretty applicable that you can use the same system for other platforms beyond Amazon, be it, let's say, Barnes & Noble or something else like that. But we're just going to focus on Amazon today. That's my wheelhouse. And no, I won't encourage you to find obscure categories so your book can squat there for a quick victory. That's trash, folks. Instead, I'll tell you the exact way to hit bestseller status and maintain it for longer than your competition. So you're going to want to make sure that you stay tuned to today's podcast. Now, this podcast is brought to you by Book Award Pro, my go-to resource for winning book awards. Over the past few years, I've had the privilege of earning more than 42 book awards across 12 publications, and I couldn't have done it without Book Award Pro. Their innovative platform takes the guesswork out of finding the perfect opportunities for your book. Whether you're a debut author or a seasoned pro, they match your book with tailored awards and even provide submission support for maximum success. Here's why I love Book Award Pro. They save me countless hours of research, help me boost my book's credibility, and give me valuable marketing tools to connect with readers. And with 3 plans now to choose from, including a free option, they make it easy for any author to get started. Want to elevate your book and stand out in the crowded marketplace? Visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro to see how they can transform your author career. Don't let your hard work go unnoticed here, folks. Let Book Award Pro help you get the recognition that you deserve. Oh man, I tell you, I just got off of a 2-week vacation at the end of the year, and it's the first time I've taken 2 weeks off. My brain is on vacation mode. I got to switch out of this. And so it was a relief when I saw on my workload today talking about Amazon bestseller status and how you can get into the bestseller status. And some people could probably just go, well, you could just find a obscure category, put your book in it, sell it once, and then you become a bestseller. That's garbage. That's just trash. That's not worth it. I mean, sure, if you're putting into an obscure category and it fits there, sure, that's fine. But let's say that you're publishing an erotica book and you find some car repair manual like category of some sort and you sell one book for that. Well, that's kind of like a very hollow victory. I mean, come on now here, folks. That's what I'm not going to tell you to do. But there are some systems you need to put in place, because if you're going to find less obscure categories and some categories that have a lot more competition, you're going to need to come with your A game. So I'm going to give you 7 critical steps for launching an Amazon bestseller. By the way, I will give you access to this entire thing inside a checklist at the very end of this broadcast, or you can cheat and just go into show notes and just click on that link and there's there. All right, let's start out with number 1. This is the biggest one I think a lot of people unfortunately look past, and it is building an ARC team. Now, what is an ARC team? It's an advanced reader copy team. It's a group of readers that get advanced access of your book in exchange for leaving a review. Easy enough, right? So how do you get that though? How do you get those readers? Well, then it becomes tricky. And this is one of the reasons why I'm going to kind of just rabbit trail just a little bit on this section here. This is why I encourage every author have an email list. Websites are great. Social media presence is great. But there's one area that I just implore all authors, listen to me on this one. Start a newsletter as soon as humanly possible, because having an email newsletter means you get to directly address your readers. You get to communicate with them on a person-to-person basis, and you can start to communicate when you've got a book in the works and when you need to get some advanced reader copy team established. You're going to find that when some people subscribe to your email newsletter, they're probably going to be tickled and honored to probably read your book in advance to leave a review upon launch. Now, why do we need to have reviews upon launch? Well, that's the third-party credibility that is going to entice more browsing customers to consider your product, because products with no reviews leaves a little, it leaves a lot to the imagination. You have to kind of like, well, maybe this is good. The ad copy, or excuse me, the marketing copy, the book description, if you will, looks great. The cover design's awesome. It's fantastic. But what do other people think about it? And so that's where you want to have reviews. Now, ideally, you want to have at least 15 to 20 reviews starting out. But of course, getting that is going to be a little bit of a hustle. Now, when you do an advanced reader copy team, there's so many ways we can do this. Now, what I will tell you this is, you're going to want to make sure that depending on the length of your book, you're going to want to notify your readers in advance. So typically, you're going to want to, like, for instance, I like to give at least a month advance notice on my ARC team. So it gives them 1 month to go through some of my books. Now, my books tend to be right around 20,000 to 40,000 words. You can easily read that within a month. But if you're dealing with, like, say, an epic length novel, then chances are very likely they're going to probably need a month and a half to 2 months to kind of get things going. You're going to know what's best. And if you don't know what's best, maybe consult one of your beta readers or somebody else within your niche. Figure out what is going to be the best runway or the length of runway for your readers to give you those reviews. Now, how do you do an advanced reader copy team? Now, there's the DIY method. Back in the day when I first started in the business, I just had like a Google spreadsheet of all of my advanced reader copy folks, their name, their email address, all that type of jazz. And I would just send them a direct download link to get my book. Now, that's just fraught with peril and some issues and things like that. This is why I recommend, if you have a little bit more of a budget, about $8 to $10 per month more, you can get services like Story Origin or Book Funnel. Now, I don't have a link to either one of those inside the description as per usual, but you've heard me gush about Story Origin time and again. And Story Origin isn't just about building advanced reader copy teams. You can get beta readers and manage them there. You can do newsletter swaps with other authors in your niche, which, by the way, it's another good way to promote your book, is going through newsletter swaps. You got group promos, things like that. But let me go ahead and just keep it all dialed in to just this. Story Origin, love me some, all right? Fantastic. You can also use services like NetGalley, Hidden Gems Books, Book Sirens, and more. Now, these ones come at a bit of a higher premium. Now, I have a co-op. I joined a co-op last year for NetGalley through Victory Editing, and essentially I paid $500 for the year, and I can submit any of my books and get some ARC readers. And so far, it's been a mixed bag. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Overall, though, it's doing what I wanted to do, which is bringing more reviews on the platform upon launch. Now, if you want to really go deep and you're like, Dale, I need more than this. You've given me like enough to make me dangerous. You want to look into a free and premium service, whatever suits your needs. Go visit my link of dalelinks.com/reviews. Now, it's essentially like a list of different review sites. It's not my personal endorsement of each one of them, although Book Award Pro is on there and I still endorse them. But all the other ones, proceed with caution. Again, that's dalelinks.com/reviews. So we've got everything kind of loaded up for our book launch, getting a nice, beautiful book launch with some reviews all set. Now, you're probably saying, but Dale, how do I get the readers to get the reviews if they're reading it before it's been released? I'll get to that in just a second. Because number 2, you got to set up a KDP pre-order at least 30 days prior to book launch. Now, the reason why I say 30 days, again, gives you a little bit of runway. It also gives you some time that you can kind of promote things. Now, in the event that you do not promote your book, you have no intentions of doing it, this 30-day runway is completely unnecessary, and you might as well just go ahead and just launch the ebook. I say 30 days because it gives you plenty of time to dip into all those review avenues and building up your ARC team. It's a great way to build awareness. It's what marketing is all about, building awareness, building visibility. During the process of your setup, or even before that, you're going to want to make sure that you research and select 3 relevant categories for your ebook. This is going to also apply for your paperback and your hardcover. Now, the paperback and hardcover can share the same categories. We don't need to make this complex. But because ebooks and print books have different categories on Amazon, you're going to need to select those apart. Now, there's a hard way and there's an easy way to get categories. The hard way is you go into your dashboard and you just kind of trawl about until you find pretty much what suits you. And what I would recommend is when you find a specific category, go over onto Amazon, search up that category, and make sure that it's a good fit. Now, making sure it's a good fit, you need something like a tool like DS Amazon Quick View, or even Dibbly Create's recent one called Kip Scout. Love me some Kip Scout, by the way. It's a fantastic tool. But there's an even easier way to make sure categories are good for you, and that's through Publisher Rocket. Love me some Publisher Rocket. It's dead simple. You can look up your competition, find out what categories they use. You can also just jump into their category research tool and find exactly what works for you, what's profitable, what's in demand, and what is going to get you into the right category and in front of the right audience. That's ultimately what you want to shoot for. And this is another reason why you don't want to select a category that's irrelevant. Because when you choose an irrelevant category, you're training Amazon's algorithms improperly. You're telling the Amazon's algorithms that, hey, let's do it in this one right here. Despite me having a Werebear Shapeshifter book, I'm going to go ahead and put it inside this car repair manual category. Yeah, that's all right. Let's say you get that quick victory, but the problem is now Amazon believes that your book belongs in a car repair manual, and so therefore they're going to serve your book to that audience. And when that audience doesn't buy, you know what that does to your algorithmic relevance? Drops it down. Because when the customers aren't engaging, whether looking at your product page or buying your book, it is going to work against you. So just remember that. Now, let's just say you set up the pre-order, got the categories, you got some great keywords. What do you need to do next? Well, what I would say, this one is going to be debated across the board. There's some folks that disagree with me wholeheartedly, and I get it. It's not advice that everybody should find applicable to their specific brand. By and large, if you're a new author or relatively new author, I would recommend you goose Amazon's algorithms with a deeply discounted book. Let's say your book is going to launch at $9.99. Maybe you kick it back to $2.99. Or if you're feeling really generous, kick it back to 99 cents. Yes, you'll get 35% royalty on it. It sucks, but how many people do you think are going to refuse to pick up your book at 99 cents? It's a pretty good price point. And especially if you're going to end up marketing it within that 30-day runway, it's going to give people ample reason to pick it up. And if you're communicating with your email newsletter, you can tell them, hey, get an advanced reader copy, or when it launches, before it launches into pre-order, you can get it for $1. Either one's fine. So deeply discounted. Now, the exception to that rule, the big exception is, if you've got the following and you've built up enough hype, you shouldn't have to deeply discount it. It's nice to have, but it's a great way to goose Amazon's algorithms. I'm going to tell you, I love doing it. I can go from, say, selling hundreds of copies in a day at 99 cents to probably selling, I don't know, maybe a few dozen within a particular day at a higher price point. What we want to do is really get it to where we spike interest in it. Now, we want to make sure we maintain that interest, and this is why I say do it in the pre-order phase, and maybe you can slowly but surely kick up that price or kick it up all at once upon launch. I'll get to that a little later here. Number 3, promote your pre-order. Yeah, you actually have to promote it. I told you this already. If you do it in 30 days, you're going to need to anticipate you're going to be promoting it to the moon and back for at least 30 days, or however long your pre-order is going to be. What I would recommend is dipping into my list of lists. It's a free and premium book promo options that I've put together. Again, it's not my wholehearted endorsement of each one of these because each one of the avenues have different lists. So for instance, the Kindlepreneur is on there. I think that Derek Murphy is another one that's on there. There's a number of these different book promo sites that you can go ahead and visit. What I would say is take a little extra time out your day, sort through the options that make the most sense to you, because there's going to be some book promo sites that are irrelevant to you. So like there's some romance read sites. And if you're not into romance, chances are likely you don't want to be pushing, let's say, for instance, your car repair manual. Let's give some love to the car repair manual writers out there. You don't want to put that over on a romance site. So go through, sift through all those things, and of course, sift according to what your budget can afford. Ideally, you'll want to spread out your book promos. You don't want to just dump them in all in one day, because the problem is you dump it all in one day, it's going to spike those sales. And yeah, we do want to spike the sales, but we also want to have consistent sales all the way through, because Amazon's algorithms rewards consistency. And so if you can stay consistent in your sales, it's going to reward you with more traffic. That's kind of nice, right? So spread out those book promos. And of course, I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. Run Amazon ads. Yeah, if you don't have the budget, don't invest into it. I've got a whole book about Amazon advertising. You can always dip into it, advertising for books. It's available at every major online retailer. But let me just go ahead and just walk it back here for just a second. Amazon ads, you do not need to wait in order to push your pre-order. Get on top of it right away. Do not wait. There are going to be some folks out there that go, but hang on, Dale, you said I need to have 15 reviews, average 3.5 stars or greater in order for people to buy it. Look, not everybody's going to be turned off by your product page not having reviews. Sure, you diminish your likelihood of a sale with having less reviews, but you're also getting yourself in front of more readers or potential readers who are going to potentially buy. And of course, it's going to increase your relevance and of course, get it to where you're driving your cost per click down, and it makes things so much easier. Again, do not wait. The other thing when it comes to promoting, outreach is absolutely important. Very, very important. I think the exception to this rule is if someone is just wanting to maintain anonymity. Anybody with pen names that don't want to bother with, and then you can still work around those type of things. There's certain workarounds, for instance, audio podcasts. If you happen to be an author that's wanting to maintain anonymity, you can also look into things like YouTube channels. This is for folks of both spectrums here. Influencers are also people you can reach out to. Blogs. There's even blog interviews. There's so much you can dig into, but outreach is so important. What I would recommend is on a daily basis, you're outreaching to at least 1 to 3 new people. Reach out. Don't be shy. Yeah, it's cold prospecting. It feels icky. I know. I'm not the biggest fan of it either, but I'm the biggest fan of getting the visibility from appearing on those things and promoting my pre-order or my upcoming book. It works, folks. You just have to give it some time. Don't expect to appear on a YouTube channel and get 5,000 downloads. All right. It's just not going to happen. It's all about visibility and awareness. And when you can start to build that and stack upon it, you have all these different interviews and appearances and things like that. That's when it's going to hit critical mass. That's when it's going to tip the proverbial apple cart. You just can't give up after 1 or 2 podcasts. So I'm going to tell you this, that I've done dozens upon dozens of them. And I blame them partly for some of my book sales because I was very consistently going out and doing that. Number 4, this one's kind of little off the path here. Hopefully you've already been working on your audiobook. And if you have, you want to make sure that you approve audio files at least 30 days ahead if you're using Audiobook Creation Exchange. If you're using Findaway Voices by Spotify, you could just set up a pre-order. Dead simple. Really good stuff. Now, number 5, launch your print book, Saying pre-orders and print books, so that's 10 times fast. Launch print books about 2 weeks before the official launch day. Here's why. It's a little sneaky. Yeah, sure, you could schedule your book. And if you want to, you can also schedule those books through Amazon. That's fine. No issue. All right. But you want to have that 2 weeks ahead because then you can nudge your advanced reader copy team to leave reviews for your book on your product page. Here's the thing, is your ebook, your audiobook, and your print book are all going to be tied onto one page. If it's not right away, it will be eventually. And when you do have those types of things in place, well, it's going to have the reviews, whether you've reviewed it for print books or ebooks or audiobooks, it's all going to be on the same product page. Makes life so much easier. So that's the little bit of a hack. And I don't see enough authors doing that where they're not launching a little bit ahead of time. I think they feel like they're so romantic about their launch day that they sometimes forget that there are small things that you can kind of do in your favor. And this is one of those. Could you go without it? Yeah, you could go without it. But it will greatly help your efforts. And of course, justify the ad spend if you're doing Amazon ads or any other premium promotion services. So then there's more reviews when people arrive and everybody's happy in the end and hopefully buys the book. Number 6, gift out all of your audiobook promo codes, whether it's Audible, if you're exclusive to them, or if it's Findaway Voices, you can get the Spotify promo codes. I have always gushed and leaned in favor of Findaway Voices over ACX because, well, you're paid a little bit better. And here's the nice thing is Spotify is starting to get even more reach than what Audible does. Do they have the same amount of audience as Audible? Not yet. I anticipate, though, in due time, it's going to be one heck of a fight between Audible and Spotify for the listeners in audiobooks. Number 7. Now, oh, by the way, let's walk it back to number 6 here, Ruby, about the promo codes. You obviously are handing out those promo codes to get reviews and ratings. So, of course, anybody that you give that out to, you're going to want them to, to leave a review, of course. Now, next up, number 7, ramp up Amazon ads. This is going to be right around launch day. All right. Ramp them up if you can afford it. All right. I can afford it. If you're the type of person you're like, Dale, I can't even pay attention at this point. I don't have enough money. All right. Totally fine. But if you have the discretionary expense, be it $1 to $10 per day, $10, you're looking at pretty good. That's a decent amount on a single ad group, or at least a campaign of sorts. But ramp up those Amazon ads. And if you've been running it for the 30 days prior, the really cool thing is if you run automated targeting, you're getting Amazon to source all of the targets for you. Find out which targets are poor converting or irrelevant. So then you can add that to negative targeting, and then find the ones that convert really well. The targets could be keywords, could be products, and see what the cost per click was on that to convert that sale. Start a manual campaign with those negative targets as well as those main targets. Manual campaigns, by and large, don't spend as much money if you're very careful and you're picking out just the right targets for that. Again, if you're starting any of those Amazon ads that 30 days prior, you should have plenty of information to start up a new Amazon manual targeting campaign. And of course, if you deeply discounted your book early on, I would recommend you increase the ebook pricing the day of your book launch. You can increase it just a little bit if you want to, or go all the way. Me, I typically just give everybody the warning. You got 99 cents on this upon launch, and as soon as it launches, I'm kicking that thing up to $7.99. No exceptions. Tell them and then do it. Because otherwise, if you do a bunch of false scarcity, people are going to start to tune you out. And every single book launch thereafter, they're just going to be like, yeah, it's whatever. I'll just get it 99 cents after he launches it. No, stand by your word. All right, boy, that was the bestseller book launch I just shared with you. But before we kind of put my final thoughts on this one, this podcast is sponsored by Book Award Pro, the ultimate tool for authors looking to win book awards and gain recognition. They match your book with the perfect opportunity, saving you hours of research and boosting your credibility. Get started today at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. Big shout out to Hannah and Jay Jacobson over at Book Award Pro. You guys are the best. I appreciate you. They've just been supporting this podcast for so long. They actually are the longest running sponsors of this podcast, and I'm proud to say that. So thank you again, Book Award Pro. You want to help support the cause, go on over, set yourself up with a free or premium account at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. My final thoughts. The reality of Amazon bestseller status. There's going to be some folks, and especially in the author camp, that scoff at Amazon bestseller status. Oh, well. It's not Wall Street Journal. It's not USA Today. It's not New York Times. They make that noise, by the way, every single time they do that, and they sniff their farts out of an empty wine glass. Look, folks, you don't have to like the bestseller status. You don't need to honor it. But if you believe in your heart of hearts that this is something that's valuable, then it is. So it just depends on how you value it, not your peers. Now, as far as readers go, readers don't know. Most, I would say, 99% of readers out there, if you were to tell them, I've got an Amazon best-selling book, or you say, I've got a best-selling book, they're going to go, that's freaking rad, dude. How about that? They're going to love that. They're going to, oh my gosh, I got this bestseller. So while you might not value Amazon bestseller status as an author, readers might. Now, if you come out and say, hey, I grabbed an obscure category and sold one book in a single hour, that's how I got #1 bestseller status, yeah, your readers are probably going to go, okay, that's kind of garbage. But if you're doing it honestly and ethically, I think they're going to go ahead and appreciate that. And I appreciate that as well for all authors. I'd seen in a couple forums before where some people have touted and just been like, yes, I got bestseller status in the free categories. And then some people are like, oh, it's free categories. Yeah, guess what? They got their books into more readers' hands. Don't hate on it. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Sure, it's not going to pay the bills immediately, but it's a long-term play. Well, folks, if you would like to get notification for advance access to my upcoming book about the bestseller book launch plan, you can join my email newsletter at dalelinks.com/checklist, and you get a copy of my bestseller book launch checklist. Thousands of authors have gotten that to date, and I think that you're going to enjoy it as well. dalelinks.com/checklist. All links to reference products or services is in the show notes as per usual. Next week, we're going to be jumping back into things, going further into the Self-Publishing with Dale series. The next book is going to be Crush It on YouTube, a step-by-step guide for authors. We're going to discuss a little bit more about that and why I love YouTube so much, and I feel like it's a great place for all authors to consider. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I will catch you folks next week.